If they send me back, I'll die." The little girl said these words with a trembling voice, her brown eyes overflowing with tears that streamed down her soot-stained face. She was crouched behind a dumpster on the corner of 5th Avenue and 58th Street, shivering in the cold on that Christmas Eve when the temperature had dropped to 23 degrees in Manhattan. Theodore Callahan stopped walking abruptly. At 52 years old, owner of a real estate empire worth billions, he wasn't used to being interrupted, much less by a ragged child who looked like she had stepped out of a nightmare. "What did you say?" Theodore asked, turning slowly. The girl shrank further against the brick wall like a cornered animal. She wore a coat far too thin for New York's brutal winter, torn in several places. Her blonde hair was tangled, and there was a fresh cut on her forehead that still showed traces of dried blood. "Please, sir," she begged, "don't call anyone. Please." Theodore looked around. 5th Avenue glittered with Christmas lights, decorated storefronts displayed expensive gifts, and well-dressed people hurried past carrying shopping bags. No one seemed to notice the child hiding in the shadows. Or maybe they preferred not to notice. "How old are you?" he asked, taking a step closer. "8, she whispered, almost Nini. "And what are you doing here alone? Where are your parents?" The girl's face twisted with pain. It wasn't physical pain. Theodore realized immediately. It was something much worse. "I don't have parents," she said. "I never did. I did, but they left me at the hospital when I was born. At least, that's what they told me." Theodore felt something tightened in his chest. He knew loneliness. He knew abandonment in a different way, but he had never seen so much pain concentrated in such small eyes. "So you're in some shelter?" "Orphanage." The girl began to cry harder, sobs shaking her thin body. "I was, but I ran away." "Ran away? Why?" "Because..." She hesitated, looking at her own bare feet that were turning blue from the cold. "Because it's bad." "They're really bad." Theodore crouched down, getting to her eye level. His $5,000 cashmere overcoat touched the dirty ground, but he didn't care. "Bad how?" The girl looked up, and Theodore saw something that made him freeze inside. It wasn't just fear. It was absolute terror. "The man who takes care of us," she whispered so softly he almost couldn't hear. "He hurts us when no one's watching. He hurts us really bad." Theodore felt bile rise in his throat. 40 years in the business world had taught him to recognize lies. This child wasn't lying. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Hope," she answered. "Hope Miller. But they call me number 847. That's my number in the system." "Hope," Theodore repeated. "That's a beautiful name," the social worker said. "My birth mother chose it. It was the only thing she gave me before she left." A couple walked past them, casting disapproving glances. The woman pulled her husband by the arm, murmuring something about beggars and disgraceful. Theodore ignored them completely. "Hope, are you hungry?" The girl nodded shyly. "How long has it been since you've eaten?" 3 days. "Since I ran away?" 3 days. Theodore couldn't hide his shock. "You've been on the street for 3 days?" "In this cold I hide during the day. Nighttime is harder." "But I found a place near that church," she pointed vaguely, "where warm air comes up from the ground. You can manage." Theodore stood up and took off his overcoat. Without hesitation, he wrapped it around the girl. The coat was so large it covered her completely like a tent. "What are you doing?" Hope asked, frightened. "You're freezing, and I have a car nearby with heat. Let's get out of this cold." "No." Hope pulled back violently. I can't go with you. If they find me, they'll send me back. And if they send me back, you'll die, Theodore finished. I heard. Tears began falling down Hope's face. Again. You don't understand. No one believes me. I've already tried to tell them. I told a teacher who visited the shelter. I told a police officer. I told everyone. But he's too smart. He talks nice, smiles, and everyone believes him. And after the people leave, she couldn't finish. The crying choked her. Theodore looked at the girl and made a decision. It wasn't a rational decision. It wasn't a decision his lawyers would approve of, but it was the only decision his heart would allow. Hope, look at me. The girl raised her red eyes. I'm not going to call the police. I'm not going to call anyone. At least not right now. But I need you to trust me for a few minutes. Just a few minutes. Okay? Why should I trust you? Because I'm asking, and because you're dying of cold and hunger, and I can help with both. Hope studied Theodore's face for a long moment. There was something different about this man. He didn't look at her with pity or disgust. He looked at her with something she couldn't identify. How do I know you won't hurt me too? The question hit Theodore like a punch. You don't know, he answered honestly, but I give you my word. And my word is the only thing of real value I have in this life. Hope considered for a few seconds that felt like an eternity. Okay, she said finally. But if you try anything, I won't try anything. I promise. Theodore extended his hand. Hope hesitated, then held it with her tiny, frozen fingers. Her hand disappeared completely inside his. Come on, he said. My car is right there on the corner. As they walked down the illuminated Fifth Avenue passing storefronts of Tiffany Bergdorf Goodman, and so many other stores that sold dreams in the form of expensive objects, Theodore Callahan had no idea that this night would change his life forever. He didn't know that this ragged little girl carried secrets that would shake the entire city. He didn't know that by extending his hand to her, he was starting a war against powerful people who would do anything to keep her silent. And he didn't know that Hope Miller, the little girl who escaped from hell, would be the person who would finally teach him what it truly meant to live. In that moment, all Theodore knew was that he couldn't leave her there. Not on that night, not in that cold, not with that terror in her eyes. Theodore's driver, Winston, widened his eyes when he saw his boss approaching with a child wrapped in his overcoat. Mr. Callahan, is everything all right? Winston turned the heat up to maximum and then go to the nearest restaurant and buy everything hot they have. Soup, hot chocolate, bread, everything. But sir, the meeting with the Japanese investors, cancel it. Cancel, sir. There's $50 million on the line. Theodore looked at Hope, who was trembling even inside the heated car, her wide eyes observing the leather interior of the Rolls-Royce as if it were a spaceship. Winston, there are things more important than $50 million. And for the first time in many years, Theodore Callahan believed his own words. The Rolls-Royce glided through the streets of Manhattan while Hope devoured the hot soup Winston had bought. Her hands were shaking so much that Theodore had to hold the cup so she would unspill it. Slow down, he said gently. No one's going to take it away from you. Hope looked at him with distrust. At the shelter, if we didn't eat fast, he took the food away. He who, the director, Mr. Hoffman, Gerald Hoffman. Theodore etched the name into his mind. Gerald Hoffman. This man would pay for every tear this child had shed. Tell me more about this place, Hope. The girl stopped eating. Fear returned to her eyes. Are you going to send me back? No. already told you I won't. Promise. I promise. Hope took a deep breath and began to speak. The words came out in fragments, interrupted by sobs and trembling. Hope's Haven is in Brooklyn. It's a big, old building. From the outside, it looks nice. It has a garden, swings, everything painted. When people visit, everything is perfect. The children smile, the beds are made, the food is good, and when the visitors leave, Hope closed her eyes. Everything changes. The good food disappears. We eat old rice, sometimes with bugs in it. If you complain, you go without eating. If you cry, you get locked in the basement. Theodore felt his stomach turn. In the basement. It's dark down there. Cold. There are rats. Mr. Hoffman calls it the reflection room. He says, it's so we learn to be grateful. Hope. How many children live in that place? 32. There were 33, but Billy ran away last month. He never showed up again. The car stopped in front of a glass and steel skyscraper on the Upper East Side. Theodore lived in the penthouse, a triplex that occupied the top 3 floors of the building. Where are we? Hope asked, looking up with wide eyes. My home. You're going to take a hot bath, eat properly, and sleep in a real bed. But no buts. Tomorrow we'll figure out what to do. Tonight you rest. They went up in the private elevator. When the doors opened directly into the living room, Hope stood frozen. The penthouse was the size of a football field. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed all of illuminated Manhattan. Designer furniture, artwork on the walls, a fireplace crackling softly. It was like a palace from a fairy tale. You live here alone? Hope whispered. Alone. But it's so big. Don't you get scared? Theodore smiled sadly. Sometimes. A woman in her 60s appeared in the hallway. Gray hair pulled back in a bun, immaculate apron, kind eyes. Mr. Callahan, you're home early? The meeting. She stopped when she saw Hope. Oh my God. Who is this child? Beatrice. This is Hope. She'll be staying with us tonight. I need you to prepare a hot bath, clean clothes, and a room. Beatrice had been Theodore's housekeeper for 15 years. She knew him better than anyone, and never in all those years had she seen him bring anyone home, much less a child. Of course, sir. Right away, Beatrice approached Hope and crouched down in front of her. Hello, sweetheart. My name is Beatrice. Do you like hot chocolate? Hope nodded shyly. Then I am going to make you the best hot chocolate you've ever had in your life. Call me with me. Beatrice extended her hand. Hope looked at Theodore as if asking for permission. Go ahead, he said. Beatrice is the kindest person there is. Hope took the housekeeper's hand and was led down the hallway. Theodore remained alone in the living room, looking out the window at the city he had conquered with blood, sweat, and tears. 30 years ago, he was just another kid from the Bronx, the son of Irish immigrants who each worked 3 jobs to put food on the table. He studied on scholarships, worked since he was 14, slept in libraries to save money. At 25, he founded his first company. At 30, he was already a millionaire. At 40, a billionaire. Now, at 52, he owned a real estate empire that included malls, hotels, and commercial buildings on 3 continents. But all that success had come at a price. Theodore walked over to a side table and picked up a picture frame. In the photo, a beautiful woman with red hair smiled beside him. Catherine, his wife, his great love. "What would you do, Cat?" he murmured to the photo. "What would you do if you were here?" Catherine had died 8 years ago. Cancer. They discovered it too late. In 6 months, she was gone, taking with her all the light that existed in Theodore's life. They had tried to have children for years. Treatments, clinics, hopes, destroyed one after another. Catherine dreamed of being a mother. It was her greatest wish, a wish that never came true. After she died, Theodore shut down. He transformed himself into a money-making machine. He woke up, worked, slept, repeated. He had no friends, no hobbies, no life beyond business. Beatrice appeared in the doorway. "Mr. Callahan, the girl is in the bath, but I need to speak with you." "What is it?" "She has marks, sir. On her back, on her arms, old marks and new ones, scars." Theodore closed his eyes, feeling rage boiled inside him. "What kind of marks?" They look like belt marks, sir. And burns, small, round ones, like from a cigarette. The silence that followed was dense as lead. Did she say anything? She didn't need to. Her eyes say everything. That child has lived through hell. Theodore put the picture frame back in its place. "Beatrice, tomorrow I want you to buy clothes for her. Everything an 8-year-old girl needs. And after that, I'm going to find out everything about Hope's Haven and about a man named Gerald Hoffman. Are you going to report him?" "I'm going to do much more than report him." Theodore looked at Beatrice with a determination she had never seen before. "I'm going to destroy that man. I'm going to take everything he has, and I'm going to make sure he never touches a child again." Beatrice smiled. "Mrs. Catherine would be proud of you." "You think so?" "I'm certain." She always said that beneath that armor of ice, there was the kindest man in the world. Maybe this little girl has arrived to prove she was right. Theodore didn't respond. He just stood looking at the city below, thinking about how an ordinary night had transformed into something that would change his life forever. In the guest room, Hope was immersed in a bathtub of hot water for the first time in years. Tears streamed down her face, but this time they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of hope. For the first time since her mother had abandoned her at the hospital 8 years ago, someone had looked at her and seen more than a number in the system. Someone had promised to protect her. And something deep in her heart told her that this man with sad eyes and a steady voice was different from all the others. He was going to keep his promise. The next morning, Theodore woke up at 5 a.m., as always, but this time, instead of going straight to the office, he went to the guest room. The door was slightly open. He peeked in and saw Hope sleeping curled up in the corner of the king-size bed, hugging the pillow as if it were a life raft. Even in her sleep, her face wasn't peaceful. Her lips moved in inaudible whispers, her eyebrows furrowed. Theodore closed the door silently and went down to his study. He turned on the computer and began researching Hope's Haven, Brooklyn. He found the institutional website full of photos of smiling children, touching testimonials from families who had adopted, awards from charitable organizations. Lies, he murmured. He picked up the phone and called his personal attorney. "Preston, I need you here. Now." "Theodore, it's 5:30 in the morning. I know what time it is. Come." 40 minutes later, Preston Whitfield, one of the most expensive lawyers in New York, was sitting in Theodore's study, holding a cup of coffee and trying to understand what was happening. "Let me see if I understand," Preston said, adjusting his glasses. "You found a runaway child on the street last night, brought her to your home, and now you want to sue the orphanage she ran away from? I don't want to sue. I want to destroy. Theodore, this is complicated. Legally, you're harboring a runaway minor. Technically, you should have called the police. The police did nothing when she reported it. No one did anything. Do you have proof of her accusations? She has scars all over her body. Cigarette burns, belt marks. Preston turned pale. This is serious. I know it's serious. That's why I need you to find out everything about Gerald Hoffman, the director of that place. I want to know where he was born, where he studied, who he married, how much money he has in the bank, what his dirty secrets are. Everything. This will take time. You have 24 hours. Theodore, Preston, that girl is 8 years old. 8. And she's lived through things no human being should ever live through. I'm not going to rest until the person responsible for this is behind bars. Preston nodded slowly. I'll put my entire team on it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, in Brooklyn, Gerald Hoffman was furious. Hope's Haven occupied a 3-story building on a tree-lined street in Park Slope. From the outside, it was charming. Well-kept gardens, a facade painted a cheerful yellow, a colorful sign with the institution's name. Inside, it was another story. Gerald was in his office, a man of 50. Gray hair, slicked back, impeccable suit. He looked like a respectable executive. But his eyes, cold as stones, told a different story. How did she escape? He asked the woman in front of him. Doris Pemberton, the night shift supervisor, was trembling. We don't know, Mr. Hoffman. She was in bed at 9. When we made rounds at 11, the room was empty, and no one saw anything. No one heard anything. No, sir. Gerald stood up and walked to the window. Hopi Miller, number 847. That girl has always been a problem. Always asking questions. Always watching. Always trying to tell stories to visitors. What do we do, sir? We report the runaway to the police. We say we're concerned about her welfare, that she has emotional problems, a tendency to make up stories. If anyone finds her, they'll think she's a disturbed child who ran away from a loving home. And if she tells what happens here. Gerald smiled, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Who's going to believe a troubled orphan over me? I'm Gerald Hoffman, Philanthropist of the Year. 3 times in a row, board member of 6 charitable organizations. Personal friend of the mayor. He turned to Doris. Find this girl. Use our contacts. Offer a reward if necessary. I want her back before she causes problems. Back at Theodore's penthouse, Hope had woken up. Beatrice found her sitting on the bed, looking out the window with a lost expression. Good morning, sweetheart. Did you sleep well? Hope turned around, startled. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be here. I'll leave. Leave to go where? I don't know. Anywhere. Beatrice sat on the edge of the bed. Hope, Mr. Callahan said. You can stay. No one is going to send you away. He said that yesterday. But today is another day. People always change their minds. Mr. Callahan isn't like other people. When he promises something, he keeps it. Hope looked at Beatrice with eyes full of doubt. Why does he care about me? He doesn't even know me. Beatrice sighed. You know, Mr. Callahan lost his wife a few years ago. Her name was Catherine. She was the sweetest woman I ever knew. They tried to have children for a long time, but they couldn't. When she died, he shut down. He stopped living. He just existed. And now you've appeared. And for the first time in 8 years, I saw something in his eyes that I thought I would never see again. What purpose? Theodore appeared in the doorway. "Good morning, Hope. How are you?" Hope jumped out of bed and stood at attention, like a soldier. "Fine, sir. Thank you for letting me stay. I'll leave now. I don't want to be a bother." Theodore entered the room and crouched down in front of her. "Hope, look at me." She raised her eyes timidly. "You're not a bother, and you're not leaving. At least not until I'm sure you're safe. But Mr. Hoffman will look for me. He always finds the children who run away. He has friends in the police, in social services, everywhere. He may have powerful friends, but so do I. And mine are more powerful than his." "How do you know?" Theodore smiled. "Because his friends can be bought." "Mine don't need to be." Hope didn't fully understand, but she'd felt something in her chest. Something warm, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Safety. "Mr. Callahan. You can call me Theodore." "Theodora. Why are you doing this for me?" Theodora was silent for a moment. He thought about Catherine, about all the years of frustrated attempts, about all the dreams they had buried together, because someone should have done this a long time ago. "And because I can." 3 days passed. Hope was beginning to adapt to this surreal life. She had new clothes, hot food 3 times a day, a soft bed, and people who smiled at her without ulterior motives. But the fear never left her. Every time she heard a strange noise, her heart raced. Every time someone knocked on the door, she ran to hide. The trauma was etched into her bones. That morning, Theodore received Preston in his study. The lawyer carried a thick folder under his arm and a somber expression on his face. "Did you find anything?" Theodore asked. Preston sat down and opened the folder. "I found much more than I expected, and none of it is good." "Tell me." Gerald Hoffman, 53 years old, found at Hope's Haven 18 years ago. Since then, more than 500 children have passed through there. And how many were adopted? Officially, 142. But here's where it gets strange. Preston pulled a document from the folder. "I got access to the records of some of these adoptions. Many of the families who supposedly adopted children from Hope's Haven simply don't exist." Theodore frowned. "What do you mean they don't exist?" "Fake addresses, fraudulent documents, fictitious identities." "Theodore, we're talking about at least 60 children who disappeared from the system without a trace." Theodore's blood ran cold. "You're saying I'm saying Gerald Hoffman isn't just an abuser. He's involved in something much bigger. Trafficking, perhaps. Selling children to illegal families overseas. I don't have concrete proof yet, but the patterns are too clear to ignore." Theodore stood up and went to the window. Manhattan gleamed under the winter sun, indifferent to the horrors happening in its shadows. How has he never been caught? Connections. Hoffman is friends with the Brooklyn district captain. He plays golf with 2 family court judges. He donates generously to political campaigns. He's built an impenetrable network of protection. No network is impenetrable. Theodore, I need to warn you about something. Hoffman reported Hope's escape. She's officially listed as a missing minor. If anyone finds out she's here, I know. Kidnapping a minor? 5 to 15 years in prison. Are you willing to risk that? Theodore turned to Preston. Have you seen that girl's back? Have you seen the burns? If they send her back to that place, she dies. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but she dies. And I'm not going to have that blood on my hands. pressed inside. Then we need to act fast. We need solid evidence before Hoffman finds out where she is. How long? Weeks, maybe months. Investigations like this are delicate. We don't have months. Meanwhile, downstairs, Hope was in the kitchen with Beatrice, learning to make chocolate chip cookies. That's it, sweetheart. Stir slowly so the dough doesn't get heavy. Hope stirred the spoon with extreme concentration, her tongue sticking out in effort. Beatrice, do you think Mr. Theodore will get tired of me? Beatrice stopped what she was doing. Why do you ask that? Because everyone gets tired. At the shelter, sometimes families would come wanting to adopt. They would look at us, play with us, promise things. Then they would leave and never come back. Theodore is different. That's what you said. But how do you know? Beatrice crouched down to Hope's level. Because I've known this man for 15 years. He may seem cold, distant, but inside he has a heart bigger than this entire city. When he loves forever. And when he promises, he keeps it until death. Does he love me? The question caught Beatrice off guard. I think he's learning too. And you can learn to trust him too. Theodore's phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello? Mr. Theodore Callahan? A male voice, smooth, controlled. Who is this? My name is Gerald Hoffman, director of Hope's Haven. I believe we have a matter of mutual interest to discuss. Theodore felt his blood boil, but he kept his voice calm. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you do. One of our children ran away a few days ago. Hope Miller, a disturbed girl with a history of compulsive lying and self-destructive behavior. I have information that she may be in your custody. Your information is wrong, Mr. Callahan. I'm a reasonable man. I understand that you, being a good-hearted man, may have been deceived by this child's fanciful stories. She's very convincing, but I need you to understand that Hope needs specialized treatment. Treatment that only we can provide at Hope's Haven. Treatment. Is that what you call it? There was a pause on the other end of the line. I don't know what she told you, but I can assure you it's all fabrications. Hope suffers from a personality disorder. She invents stories of abuse to get attention. It's sad, but it's the reality. Our cigarette scars, also fabrications. The silence was longer this time. Mr. Callahan, I'll be direct, returned the girl. Do it voluntarily, and we'll forget this incident. Otherwise, I'll be forced to take legal action. And believe me, I have friends in positions that can make your life very difficult. Theodore laughed. A cold laugh, without humor. Mr. Hoffman, let me be equally direct. I know what you do in that place. I know about the children who disappeared. I know about the fake documents, the fraudulent adoptions, everything. And I'm gathering evidence that's going to bury you. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You touched the wrong child, because now she has someone willing to fight for her. And I have more money, more connections, and more determination than you can imagine. You don't know who you're dealing with. Neither do you. Theodore hung up. His hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from rage. A rage he hadn't felt in years. A rage that made him feel alive again. He went downstairs and found Hope in the kitchen, her face smeared with chocolate, smiling for the first time since she had arrived. Theodore! I made the cookies! Do you want to try one? He looked at that small, fragile girl who had suffered so much and could still smile. And in that moment, He made a decision. It didn't matter what it cost. It didn't matter who he had to face. It didn't matter how long it took. Gerald Hoffman was going down, and Hope Miller would never be hurt again. "Of course I do," he said, taking a cookie. "It's delicious." Hope smiled even more. Beatrice said, "I can make more tomorrow." "Can I?" "You can make as many as you want. Promise." Theodore crouched down and looked into her eyes. "I promise, and I always keep my promises." A week later, the silent war between Theodore and Hoffman continued, but on that Christmas Eve morning, everything would change. Hope woke up screaming at 3 a.m. Theodore ran to her room and found her huddled in the corner, eyes wide, body trembling violently. "Hope, what happened?" "He was here. I saw him. He was at the window." Theodore looked at the window. They were on the 30th floor. No one could be there. "It was a nightmare, sweetheart. Just a nightmare." "No, he's coming to get me. He always comes." Theodore held her, feeling her heart beating wildly against his chest. "No one is coming to get you. I'm here. You're safe." They stayed like that for almost an hour, until Hope finally fell asleep in his arms. Theodore laid her in bed and sat beside her until the sun rose. When he went down to his study, he found Preston waiting with an expression that didn't promise good news. "What is it?" Theodore asked. "Hoffman is making moves. He filed a lawsuit demanding Hope's immediate return. He claimed you kidnapped her." "That was expected." "There's more. He got an emergency hearing. Today at 2 in the afternoon. Today. Christmas Eve. He has a judge in his pocket. Judge Raymond Crawford, known for deciding custody cases in ways that favor whoever pays more." Theodore slammed his fist on the desk. "This is ridiculous. We have proof of abuse. Proof that's still being compiled. Legally, Hope is a ward of the state. Under the custody of Hope's Haven, you have no legal rights over her, and discards the Burns." Hoffman already has an explanation. He said Hope suffers from self-harm, that she causes the injurious herself to get attention. He has medical reports signed by psychiatrists confirming this. Fake reports? Probably, but they're official reports signed by licensed professionals. Against the word of a child, he's already painted as a compulsive liar. Theodore felt the world crumble. "So that's it. We're going to lose." "Not necessarily, but we need something concrete. Something that even the most corrupt judge can't ignore." Hope appeared in the study doorway, still in her pajamas, her eyes puffy from sleep. "Theodore, what's going on?" He tried to smile. "Nothing, sweetheart. Go back to bed." "You were talking about Mr. Hoffman. I heard." Theodore and Preston looked at each other. "Hope, it's better if you—" "He's going to take me back, isn't he?" The silence was answer enough. Hope walked over to Theodore and held his hand. "I can help." "How?" "I know things he doesn't know I know." Preston approached. "What kind of things?" "Hope." The girl took a deep breath. Her hands were trembling, but her voice came out steady. "The basement, where he locks us up. There's a hidden door behind the shelves. It leads to another place. A place where he keeps things." "What kind of things?" "Papers, lots of papers. Photos, and money. Lots of money in boxers." Theodore crouched down in front of her. "How do you know this?" "Because once I managed to escape from the reflection room. It was the middle of the night. Everyone was asleep. I saw Mr. Hoffman going in there. I followed him. I saw everything. Did he see you? No. I hid, but I saw the papers. They had photos of children, names, addresses from other countries, and numbers. Lots of numbers. Preston's eyes widened. Theodore, if this is true. It is true, Hope said forcefully. I don't lie. I know. He says I lie, but I don't lie. Theodore hugged the girl. I believe you. I always have Preston grab this phone. I need to make a call. I have a contact at the FBI who investigates child trafficking. If this secret room exists, we need a search warrant before the hearing. Can you get that in a few hours? I'll try. While Preston made frantic phone calls, Theodore sat with Hope in the living room. Beatrice brought hot chocolate for both of them. Hope, I need to ask you something important. What if the FBI goes to Hope's Haven? If they find this room, this is going to become a very big case. There will be journalists, lawyers, judges. You're going to need to tell your story many times. Too many pale plea, it could be hard. It could be scary. Hope squeezed the cup between her hands. I know. Are you ready for that? She was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was more mature than any 80-year-old should sound. At the shelter, there was a girl named Lily. She was 6 years old. Red hair, freckles on her nose. She was the youngest of all of us. One night, Mr. Hoffman came to get her. He said there was a family that wanted to adopt her. Lily was so happy. She hugged everyone, said she was going to send letters. Hope swallowed hard. We never saw her again. No letter ever came. When I asked Mr. Hoffman, he said Lily was happy with her new family and didn't need us anymore. But I saw his face when he said it. He was lying. Hope. I don't know what happened to Lily. I don't know what happened to the other children who disappeared. But if I can help so that no more children vanish, I'll do anything. Anything. Theodore felt tears burn in his eyes. You're the bravest person I've ever met. I'm not brave. I'm just tired of being afraid. Preston came running back. I got it. Special Agent Denise Morrison is on her way with a team. They're going to execute the warrant in 1 hour. If they find what Hope described, the hearing will be suspended and Hoffman will be arrested before sunset. Theodore stood up. I'm going with them. You can't. It's a federal operation. Then I'll wait in front of the building. I want to see that monster's face when his world falls apart. Hope tugged at Theodore's sleeve. Can I go too? No, sweetheart. It's dangerous. Please, I need to see. I need to know it's over. Theodore looked at Beatrice, who nodded gently. All right, but you stay in the car with me. You don't get out for anything? I promise. As they prepared to leave, none of them knew that Gerald Hoffman had already been alerted by his contact in the police department, and that he had a contingency plan, a plan that would put everyone's lives at risk. The Rolls-Royce stopped 2 blocks from Hope's Haven. Manhattan's sky was gray, heavy, as if it knew something terrible was about to happen. Hope squeezed Theodore's hand so tightly her fingers were white. It's okay, he said softly. You're safe here with me. I know. But the other children, they're still inside. Theodore looked at the yellow building at the end of the street. 3 FBI vehicles were positioned. Agents in bulletproof vests were preparing to enter. Soon they'll be safe too. The car radio crackled. Preston had managed to get a frequency to follow the operation. Team in position. Entering in 3, 2, 1. Now. The agents stormed the building. Shouts. Doors being broken down. The controlled chaos of a federal operation in progress. Hope closed her eyes and began to pray quietly. "What are you doing?" Theodore asked, asking God to protect the children inside and the police too. Theodore wasn't religious, not since Catherine died, but in that moment, watching that 8-year-old girl praying with such faith, he felt something stir in his chest. 5 minutes passed. 10, 15. The radio remained silent. "Why is it taking so long?" Hope asked, opening her eyes. "Operations like this take time, sweet." Suddenly, the radio exploded with voices. "We have a problem. Hoffman isn't in the building." "Repeat, Central. Gerald Hoffman is not on the premises. Staff say he left an hour ago." Theodore felt his blood run cold. He knew. Someone warned him. "Theodore." Hope pointed to the rearview mirror, her voice trembling. That car, a black sedan, had stopped behind them. The doors opened, and 2 men in suits got out, walking toward the Rolls-Royce. "Winston, start the car." Now, the driver turned the key, but nothing happened. The engine wouldn't start. "Mr. Callahan, someone sabotaged the vehicle." The men reached the windows. One of them tapped on the glass with his knuckles, smiling. "Mr. Callahan, Mr. Hoffman would like a word." "Call the police," Theodore shouted to Winston. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," the man said, showing a gun under his jacket. "We have orders to take the girl. If you cooperate, no one gets hurt. If you don't cooperate, well, accidents happen." Hope started to cry. "Don't let them take me. Please, please." Theodore held her tight. "No one is going to take you. I promised." "How touching," the man said. "But you're not in a position to make promises. Get out of the car!" Now, the door was forced open. Brutal hands grabbed Theodore and yanked him from the vehicle. He fell on the asphalt, feeling the impact on his knees. "Theodore!" Hope screamed. "Shut up, brat!" The second man got into the car and grabbed Hope by the arm. She struggled, bit, scratched, but he was too strong. "Let me go! Let me go! Stop moving, or it'll be worse." Theodore tried to get up, but received a kick to the ribs that knocked the wind out of him. "Stay down, old man. This is none of your business." "Yes, it is," Theodore shouted, spitting blood. "She's my daughter." The words came out before he could think, but the moment he said them, he knew they were true. Not on paper, not legally, but in his heart. Hope stopped struggling. Her eyes met Theodore's. "What did you say?" "I said, you're my daughter, and no one is taking my daughter from me." With a strength he didn't know he had, Theodore got up and threw himself at the man holding Hope. The two fell to the ground, rolling across the asphalt. "Run! Hope! Run!" Hope leaped from the car and ran like she had never run in her life. Her bare feet pounded the frozen concrete. The wind cut her face, but she didn't stop. Behind her, she heard shouts, punches, the chaos of a fight. She turned a corner and crashed into someone. She fell backward, the impact knocking the breath out of her. Hey, easy. It's okay." Hope looked up. A woman in her 40s, brown hair, kind eyes. She wore an FBI vest. You're Agent Morrison." The woman's eyes widened. "How do you know my name?" "Wait, you're Home Miller?" "Yes." "Please, there are men. They got Theodore. He needs help." Denise Morrison didn't hesitate. She grabbed her radio. "All agents, we have a kidnapping situation in progress. 2 blocks north. Civilians in danger. We need immediate backup." In less than 2 minutes, 4 agents arrived at the scene. Hoffman's thugs were subdued and handcuffed. Theodore was on the ground, his face bloody but conscious. "Sir, are you all right?" A paramedic approached. "Hope. Where's Hope? I'm here." The girl ran and threw herself into his arms, crying uncontrollably. "You said I'm your daughter." "I did. Is it true?" Theodore hugged her with all the strength left in his battered body. "It's the truest thing I've ever said in my life." Denise Morrison approached, visibly moved by the scene. "Mr. Callahan, we need to take you to the hospital and Hoffman." "Did you get him?" The agent hesitated. "Not yet, but we found the room Hope described." "Theodore, it's worse than we imagined. Much worse. We have evidence of an international trafficking network, documents, financial transactions, lists of buyers in 6 different countries, and the children from the shelter. They're being removed now. 29 children, all will be examined by doctors and psychologists." "There were 32, Hope said quietly. 3 disappeared last week. Mr. Hoffman said they were adopted." Denise closed her eyes, processing the horror of that information. "We're going to find them, sweetheart. I'll do everything in my power. An ambulance arrived." Theodore was placed on a stretcher, but he didn't let go of Hope's hand. "Can I go with him?" the girl asked. "Of course you can." Inside the ambulance, while the paramedics tended to Theodore's injuries, Hope sat beside him, holding his hand as if it were the last solid thing in the world. "Theodore, yes." "Did you really mean it? That I'm your daughter?" He looked into her eyes. Those brown eyes that had seen so much horror, so much pain, but could still shine with hope. "Hope, I spent 8 years of my life as a walking corpse. After Catherine was gone, I stopped feeling. I worked, ate, slept, but I didn't live. And then you appeared, a scared little girl, shivering from the cold, asking only not to be sent back. And suddenly I started to feel again." Tears streamed down Hope's face. "I never had anyone either," she whispered. "I never had a real family. I was always just a number." "You'll never be a number again. You'll never be alone again. I promise." "Do you always keep your promises?" Theodore smiled, despite the pain. "Always, and this is the most important promise of my life." Hope leaned in and hugged him carefully, so as not to hurt his injuries. "I love you, Theodore." It was the first time she had said those words to anyone since she was born, and in saying them, she felt something inside her heal. A wound she didn't even know existed began to close. "I love you too, Hope, my daughter." Mount Sinai Hospital was quiet that Christmas Eve night. Theodore had been admitted with 3 fractured ribs, a deep cut on his forehead, and multiple bruises. The doctors wanted to keep him under observation for at least 48 hours. Hope refused to leave the room. Beatrice brought clean clothes, blankets, and a bag full of snacks. Agent Morrison arranged for 2 federal agents to guard the door in case Hoffman tried anything. "You need to sleep, sweetheart," Beatrice said softly, stroking Hope's hair. "I can't. What if he wakes up and I'm not here?" "I'm here," Theodore murmured, opening his eyes. "And I'm not going anywhere." Hope jumped from her chair and ran to the side of the bed. "You're awake. How are you? Does it hurt a lot? Do you want me to call the nurse?" Theodore smiled, despite the pain radiating through his entire body. "I'm fine. I just need to see your face to feel better." "That's a lie. You're all hurt because of me." "Hey!" Theodore held her hand. look at me. None of this is your fault. Do you hear me? None of it. But if I hadn't come into your life, if you hadn't come, I would still be that empty man wandering through the world without purpose. You saved me, Hope, much more than I saved you. Tears streamed down the girl's face. No one ever got hurt for me before. No one ever fought for me. Now, someone does. And always will. Beatrice discreetly wiped her own eyes. I'll go get some tea for you both, she said, leaving the room. When they were alone, Hope carefully climbed onto the bed and lay down beside Theodore, resting her head on his shoulder. Theodore, yes? What's going to happen now? With us? What do you want to happen? Hope was silent for a moment. I wanted to be able to stay with you forever. But I know that's not how it works. You're rich and important. I'm just an orphan. People will talk. They'll think it's strange. Let me tell you something about people. Hope. Most of them spend their entire lives worrying about what others think. And you know what happens? They lose the most important things waiting for approval. And you don't care what they think. Not anymore. I spent years caring, years building an image, a reputation, an empire. And when Catherine died, I realized none of it meant anything. Absolutely nothing. You loved her a lot, didn't you? Very much. She was my best friend, my partner, my reason for living. When she left, I wanted to go with her. Hope squeezed his hand. I'm glad you didn't. Me too, because if I had given up, I never would have found you. Do you think that Mrs. Cup, do you think she would be angry about you adopting me? Theodore felt his heart tighten. Adopting? Hope shrank back. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. It's too much. We barely know each other. Forget it. Please, forget it. Hope, look at me. She raised her eyes, red from crying. Catherine spent years dreaming of being a mother. We did treatments, tried everything, but we never could. And do you know what she told me shortly before she died? What? She said, Theodore, promise me you won't close your heart. Promise that if one day a child appears who needs love, you'll give her everything we saved all these years. I promised, but I confess I had forgotten that promise until you appeared. Hope began to sob. So you think she sent me? I'm certain of it. Catherine always believed things happen for a reason, that God puts the right people in our path at the right time. You're the right person. Hope, you arrived at the right time. Can I call you Dad? The word hit Theodore like a wave of warmth. Dad. A word he never thought he would hear. A word that carried the weight of 1,000 abandoned dreams. You can, he whispered, his voice choked. Nothing would make me happier. Hope hugged him, burying her face in his chest, crying all the tears she had held back during years of loneliness, fear, and abandonment. Dad, she repeated between sobs. Dad, Dad, Dad. Theodore hugged her back, letting his own tears fall freely. My daughter, my little girl, my hope. Beatrice returned with the tea and stopped at the door, her hand on her chest. The scene before her was the most beautiful thing she had ever witnessed in her entire life. Two broken hearts, finally finding each other. Two lost souls, finally finding a home. She backed away silently, leaving them alone in their sacred moment. Outside the hospital, snow was beginning to fall. Manhattan was covered in white, and the church bells began to ring, announcing the arrival of Christmas. But not everything was peaceful on that holy night. In an abandoned warehouse in Queens, Gerald Hoffman was furious. He paced back and forth, phoning Hund, shouting at someone on the other end of the line. "What do you mean they froze my accounts?" "All of them, Mr. Hoffman. The FBI traced everything. Your accounts here and overseas. We can't move a cent. And the document, the fires, seized, everything seized." Hoffman hurled the phone against the wall, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. 18 years building this empire, and one miserable little brat destroyed everything in a week. His only remaining henchman, a man named Victor, stood motionless in the corner. "What do we do now, boss?" Hoffman took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. "Callahan. Theodore Callahan. He's the root of all this. If it weren't for him, Hope would be back and none of this would have happened. Want me to take care of him? No. I want to do this personally. That man took everything from me. My business, my money, my freedom. I'm going to take from him the only thing he loves. The girl?" Hoffman smiled, a sick, cruel smile. "The girl. I'll wait for the right moment, when he least expects it, and then I'll show Theodore Callahan what happens when someone messes with me." Victor nodded. "And then I disappear. I have contacts in South America, countries without extradition. I can start over, but before I go, I am going to make sure Callahan spends the rest of his life regretting that he ever crossed my path." Back at the hospital, Theodore and Hope had fallen asleep in each other's arms. The heart monitor emitted soft, steady beeps. The snow continued to fall outside, covering the city in a blanket of illusory peace. Neither of them knew the threat hadn't ended. Neither of them knew the real battle was yet to come. But that night, at least that Christmas night, they had each other, and that was all that mattered. On the nightstand, Theodore's phone vibrated silently. A message from an unknown number. "Enjoy it while you can, Callahan. Christmas ends, and when it does, I'm coming to take back what's mine." The screen glowed for a few seconds and then went dark. Outside, the bells kept ringing, and somewhere in the city, a monster waited for his moment. Christmas Day dawned white and silent. Snow covered Manhattan like a blanket, transforming the gray city into a postcard. Theodora woke up with Hope still sleeping beside him, her small hand gripping the sleeve of his hospital gown. He watched her for long minutes, marveling at the peace he finally saw in that little face. "Good morning, Dad," he smiled. Dad. He would never tire of hearing that word. "Good morning, my daughter. Merry Christmas." Hope opened her eyes, confused for a moment, then smiled too. "Merry Christmas. It's the first happy Christmas of my life. It's also the first happy one of my life in many years." Beatrice entered the room, carrying a huge bag. "Merry Christmas to you both. I brought presents." "Presents?" Hope's eyes widened. "For me, of course for you, sweetheart. Santa Claus wasn't going to forget you, was he?" Hope jumped out of bed and ran to Beatrice. The housekeeper pulled from the bag a brown teddy bear, soft and fluffy, with a red bow around its neck. "Is it for me? Really? Really?" Hope hugged the bear against her chest, tears already streaming down. "I never had a toy of my own." At the shelter, everything was shared, and if we got attached to something, Mr. Hoffman took it away. Theodore felt the familiar wave of rage upon hearing that name. "Now you can have as many toys as you want, and no one will ever take anything from you. Promise." "I promise." Beatrice pulled more things from the bag. New clothes, picture books, a painting kit, chocolates. Beatrice, you went overboard, Theodore said, smiling. I did not. This girl deserves the whole world. Hope was so happy she couldn't stop jumping. It was as if years of sadness were being washed away in that single moment of pure joy. Can I paint a picture for you, Dad, to put in your office? You can paint as many as you want. I'll fill the entire office with your paintings. The door opened and Agent Denise Morrison entered, accompanied by Preston. Good morning and Merry Christmas, she said. Sorry to interrupt, but we have news. The mood changed immediately. Theodore sat up in bed. Did you find Hoffman? Not yet, but we found something very important. Denise approached. The 3 children who were missing, we found 2 of them. They were at a port in Brooklyn, about to be shipped to Europe. Hope dropped the bear. And the 3rd, was it a girl named Lily? Denise hesitated. We're still searching, but we're not giving up. Hope began to tremble. She had red hair, freckles, 6 years old. Please find her. Please. Theodore extended his hand and Hope ran to him. We'll find her, sweetheart. I promise, Denise continued. The 2 rescued children are fine. Scared, but fine. And they confirmed everything Hope said about the shelter. The abuse, the mistreatment, everything. With these testimonies, we have enough evidence to convict Hoffman for decades. If you find him, Preston added. When we find him, Denise corrected. We froze all his accounts, canceled his passports, alerted all airports and ports. He has nowhere to go. Theodore thought about the message he had received the night before. He still hadn't told anyone. Agent Morrison, I need to show you something. He picked up his phone and showed her the message. Denise read it and her face hardened. When did you receive this? Last night, while we were sleeping. Why didn't you notify me immediately? Because it was Christmas Eve. Because Hope was finally at peace. Because I didn't want to ruin the only moment of happiness she'd had in her life. Denise sighed. I understand, but this changes everything. Hoffman didn't run. He's planning something. I'm going to reinforce security. You don't leave my sight until this man is behind bars. When Denise and Preston left, Hope looked at Theodore with fear in her eyes. He's going to come get me, isn't he? He can try, but he won't succeed. How do you know? Theodore held her face between his hands. Because I will protect you with my life. Because there's an entire FBI team protecting us. And because bad people can be strong, but love is stronger. Love? Yes. The love I feel for you is the most powerful thing I've ever felt. And no monster in the world is going to defeat that. Hope hugged him, burying her face in his chest. I'm so scared, Dad. I've spent my whole life being scared. I thought when I found a family, the fear would go away. But it's still here. Fear doesn't go away overnight, sweetheart. But it gets smaller. With each passing day, each moment of love, each hug, it shrinks. Until one day you'll look back and realize it's gone. Do you promise? I promise. 3 days later, Theodore was discharged from the hospital. They've returned to the penthouse on the Upper East Side. But now there were security guards at every entrance, extra cameras installed, FBI agents making constant rounds. Hope tried to pretend everything was normal, but Theodore noticed that she constantly checked the windows, that she woke up at any noise, that she never stayed alone in any room. On the morning of December 28th, Preston arrived with a folder full of documents. Good news, he said, sitting down in the living room. I managed to expedite the temporary custody process. Judge Crawford was removed on suspicion of corruption, so the case was transferred to Judge Patricia Hendricks. She's strict, but fair. And the adoption? Theodore asked. That will take longer. Months, maybe a year, but temporary custody can come through in weeks. With the extraordinary circumstances of the case, the confirmed history of abuse, and your impeccable profile, we have a good chance. Hope was sitting on the floor, hugging the teddy bear Beatrice had given her. What's temporary custody? Preston crouched down to her level. It means that legally you'll live with Theodore while the adoption process happens. No one can take you from here. No one at all? No, Juan. Unless Theodore does something very wrong, which isn't going to happen. An adoption. What's that? Theodore sat down beside her. It's when you officially become my daughter. Forever. With documents, a birth certificate with my name, everything. I'll have your last name, if you want. Hope Callahan, she whispered, testing the sound. Hope Callahan. It's beautiful. It's perfect, Theodore said. Just like you, Hoppy smiled, but the smile died quickly. Dad, what if Mr. Hoffman finds me before the adoption? What if he manages to take me back? That's not going to happen. But what if it does? Theodore pulled her onto his lap. Hope, listen, that man may have scared you for years. He may have hurt you in ways no child should ever be hurt. But he's a coward. Cowards only have power over those who are alone. And you're not alone anymore. You have me, Beatrice, Preston, Agent Morrison, dozens of people who will fight for you. Hoffman doesn't stand a chance. Do you really believe that? With all my heart. At that moment, Theodore's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Hello, Mr. Callahan. Good to hear your voice. Hoffman's voice was smooth, controlled. How's the girl? Theodore signaled for Beatrice to take Hope to another room. What do you want? Hoffman, what do I want? I want my life back. I want my 18 years of work back. I want you to pay for destroying everything. You destroyed yourself. I just turned on the light. Poetic, but irrelevant. I called to make a proposal. I'm not interested. You should be. The proposal is simple. You hand over the girl. In exchange, I disappear. No one else gets hurt. You're insane. Perhaps, but I'm also desperate. And desperate men are dangerous, Mr. Callahan. Very dangerous. You're not getting anywhere near her. No? Are you sure? You think your security guards, your Chimera's, your FBI agents are going to stop me? I built a network that spans continents. I have people in places you can't even imagine. You're bluffing, am I? Asked Beatrice. Where the sugar she put in your coffee this morning came from. Ask who delivered the flowers on the entrance table. Ask who washed the windows yesterday afternoon. Theodore felt his blood run cold. You didn't. I'm everywhere, Callahan, and nowhere. When I decide to act, you won't see me coming. Think about my proposal. You have 24 hours. The line went dead. Theodore stood frozen, the phone still at his ear, his heart beating so hard it felt like it wanted to escape his chest. Hoffman wasn't running. He was hunting, and the prey was Hope. Theodore didn't sleep that night. He sat in the living room, looking out the window, his mind working frantically. He called Denise Morrison immediately after Hoffman's call. She ordered a complete sweep of the apartment. They found 3 hidden listening devices, one in the kitchen, one in the living room, and one in Hope's bedroom. "He was listening to everything," Denise said, her fussy pali. "Every conversation, every plan, every moment." "How is this possible?" "We have security at every entrance, someone on the inside. We're going to investigate every person who entered this apartment in the last few weeks." Theodore looked at the bedroom where Hope slept, watched by 2 agents. "We need to get her out of here." "I agree. I have a safe location. An FBI house in Connecticut, isolated, protected, impossible to trace." "When do we leave?" "Now. The longer we wait, the more time we give him to act." At 3 in the morning, Theodore gently woke Hope. "Sweetheart, wake up. We need to go." Hope opened her eyes, instantly alert. Years of fear had trained her to wake at the slightest touch. What happened? Is he here? No. "But we're going somewhere safer." "Do you trust me?" "Always." They went down in the service elevator. 3 armored cars waited in the underground garage. Hope, Theodore, and Beatrice got into the middle one. Denise led the convoy in the first vehicle. "Where are we going?" Hope asked, squeezing Theodore's hand. "To a special house. We're going to stay there until the police find Mr. Hoffman." "What if they never find him?" "They will, I promise." The cars pulled out at high speed through the deserted streets of Manhattan. The snow had stopped falling, but the cold was biting. Everything seemed to be going well until it wasn't. Near the Bronx, the first car braked sharply. Denise shouted on the radio, "There's a barricade on the road. Divert. Divert." Now, the driver tried to maneuver, but it was too late. The tires skidded on the ice and the car spun, slamming sideways into a pole. The impact was hard. Windows cracked. The airbag deployed. When Theodore regained his senses, he was dizzy, disoriented. Smoke rose from the crumpled hood. "Hope!" he shouted. "Hope! Dad! I'm here." Okay." She was beside him, frightened, but without serious injuries. Beatrice moaned softly in the front seat, a superficial cut on her forehead. "We need to get out of the car," Theodore said. Now, he forced the door open and helped Hope out. The scene was chaotic. The other vehicles had also stopped. Agents ran in all directions, flashlights cutting through the darkness. "Stay close to me," Theodore said, holding Hope's hand. They began walking toward the other agents, but a voice emerged from the shadows, freezing both their blood. "Hello, 847? Did you miss me?" Gerald Hoffman stepped out from behind an abandoned van. He wasn't armed, but his eyes gleamed with a cruelty Theodore had never seen in another human being. Hope froze. All the progress she had made, all the healing that had begun, trembled in that instant. She became the terrified girl from the shelter again. "Please," she whispered. "Please, don't. Please." "How many times did you say that in the basement 847? How many times did you beg, and did it ever work?" Theodore placed himself in front of Hope, protecting her with his own body. "You're not going to touch her. Never again. And who's going to stop me?" "You." Hoffman laughed. "Look around, Callahan. Your agents are busy with my men. We're alone here. Just the 3 of us. What do you want?" "What do I want?" Hoffman took a step forward. "I want my life back. You destroyed everything I built in 18 years. Everything. My accounts, my reputation, my business, and all because of this insignificant little brat. She's not insignificant. She's my daughter. Your daughter, Hoffman cackled. She's an orphan nobody wanted. A number in the system. Defective merchandise I couldn't sell because she asked too many questions. Hope began to cry silently. You're wrong, she said, her voice small but steady. I'm not a number. What? Hope stepped out from behind Theodore. Her legs trembled. Her hands sweated. But she forced herself to look into the eyes of the monster who had tormented her for years. I'm not 847. My name is Hoppy Callahan, and I have a father who loves me. Hoffman's eyes widened, surprised by her boldness. You think that changes anything? It changes everything. Tears streamed down, but Hope's voice grew stronger. You made me believe I was worthless, that no one would ever love me, that I deserved to be hurt, but you, Liji, you lied about everything. Shut up. No, I spent years being silent, years being afraid, years believing your lies, but now I know the truth. The truth is that you're weak. You hurt children because you're afraid to face adults. You're a coward. Hoffman advanced, his face contorted with rage. I'm going to teach you too. Freeze, FBI, hands up now. Denise Morrison appeared from the side, weapon drawn, followed by 6 agents. Flashlights illuminated Hoffman from all angles. He was surrounded. It's over, Hoffman, Denise said. On your knees, hands on your head. Hoffman looked around, searching for an exit. There was none. His thugs had been subdued. His escape routes were blocked. His empire of horror had crumbled. Slowly, he knelt on the frozen asphalt. This isn't over, he snarled as the agents handcuffed him. I have lawyers. I have connections. I'll get out, and when I do, you're never getting out, Denise said. International child trafficking, abuse, document forgery. You're going to die in prison, Hoffman, and no one will miss you. As they dragged him to a squad car, Hoffman looked one last time at Hope. You think you won? 847. Hope approached, holding Theodore's hand. Her body still trembled, but her voice came out clear as crystal. My name is Hope Callahan. And yes, I won. The squad car doors closed. The sirens wailed, and Gerald Hoffman disappeared into the night, taking with him 18 years of nightmares. Theodore knelt in front of Hope and hugged her with all his strength. You were so brave, sweetheart. So incredibly brave. I was terrified, Dad. I know. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what needs to be done, even when you're terrified. I needed to speak. I needed him to know he didn't break me. And he knows now. The whole world will know. Denise approached, holstering her weapon. Are you both okay? Theodore looked at Hope, who was finally smiling through her tears. We are. Now we are. We need to take you to the hospital for evaluation. It's protocol. That's fine. But first, Theodore looked at Hope. First, I need to tell my daughter something. He held her face between his hands. Hope, I spent 8 years of my life thinking I had no reason to live anymore, that after losing Catherine, I would never feel anything again. But you proved me wrong. You taught me that love doesn't end. It just finds new places to live. Dad, you're the miracle I didn't deserve, but God gave me anyway. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life honoring that gift. Do you hear me? The rest of my life. Hope threw herself into his arms, sobbing. "I love you, Dad. I love you so much." "I love you too, sweetheart. More than words can say." The snow began to fall again, soft, silent, covering the Bronx in a white blanket. The agents worked around them, organizing the scene, but none of them interrupted that moment because they all knew they were witnessing something sacred. The end of a nightmare and the beginning of a new life. 6 months had passed since that night in the Bronx. Summer had arrived in Manhattan, transforming Central Park into a green ocean. The trees bloomed, the fountains sprayed crystal clear water, and families strolled along the stone paths, enjoying the June sun. Among those families were Theodore and Hope Callahan. Yes, Callahan. Officially, the adoption hearing had taken place 2 weeks earlier. On June 15th, Judge Patricia Hendricks, after analyzing months of reports, testimonies, and psychological evaluations, had spoken the words that changed everything. "By the power vested in me by the state of New York, I declare Hope Miller officially adopted by Theodore Callahan. From this day forward, her legal name is Hope Catherine Callahan." Hope had cried so hard she could barely breathe. So had Theodore. Beatrice, Preston, even Agent Morrison, who had attended as a witness, discreetly wiped their eyes. "Catherine," Hope had whispered afterward, "you put her name in mine. It was the name of the kindest woman who ever lived. Now you carry a piece of her too. Do you think she would approve?" "I'm absolutely certain." Now, walking through Central Park hand in hand, father and daughter looked like two completely different people from those who had met on a frozen street corner 6 months before. Theodore had gained 10 pounds. His eyes, once empty and gray, now shone with life. He smiled frequently, something his employees still found surprising, and he had drastically reduced his work hours to spend more time with Hope. Hope had grown an inch. Her cheeks, once sunken from hunger, were now rosy and full. The nightmares still happened sometimes, but less and less frequently. And most importantly, she had learned to laugh. Loud, free laughter, without fear of being punished for making noise. "Dad, look. Ice cream." Hope pointed to a colorful cart by the lake. "Do you want one?" "Can I?" "Chocolate. You can have every flavor you want." They bought 2 enormous ice cream cones and sat on a bench in the shade of a centuries-old oak tree. "Dad, yes? Did you hear about Lily?" Theodore smiled. He had been expecting this question. "I did. A.G. Morrison called me yesterday." Hope's eyes widened. "They found her." "They found her?" "She was in Romania with a family that had bought her illegally. But the family didn't know where she came from. When the police explained, they cooperated immediately. Lily is coming back to the United States next week." Hope began to cry, the ice cream forgotten in her hand. "Is she okay? Did they hurt her?" "She's scared and confused, but physically she's fine. The family that bought her, as wrong as it was, took care of her. They thought they were saving an orphan. And now, what's going to happen to her?" Theodore took a deep breath. "Well, about that, I wanted to ask you something." Hope wiped her tears. "What?" Agent Morrison asked if I would be interested in taking Lily temporarily as a foster home while they look for a permanent family for her. But I said I would only accept if you agreed. Hope was silent for a long moment. Then a huge smile spread across her face. "She can come live with us if you want." "I want to? Dad, I really want to." "Lily was my best friend at the shelter. I promised I would protect her, but I couldn't. and when she disappeared, Hope's voice broke. Theodore hugged her. You were 8 years old, sweetheart. It wasn't your responsibility to protect anyone, but now you can help her heal, just like you're healing. Do you think one day she could be my sister? For real? Theodore felt his heart overflow. I think that's a very real possibility. Hope hugged him so hard she almost knocked over the ice cream cones. I love you, Dad. Thank you for existing. I'm the one who's thankful. Sweetheart, you gave me back my life. A week later, Theodore and Hope were at JFK Airport, holding a colorful sign Hope had made with her own hands. Welcome home, Lily. When the little girl with red hair and freckles appeared at the arrival gate, holding the hand of a social worker, Hope dropped the sign and ran. Lily! Lily! Hope! The two girls embraced in the middle of the terminal, crying, laughing, jumping. Passengers stopped to watch, some taking photos, others wiping away tears at the scene. Theodore approached slowly and crouched down in front of Lily. Hello, Lily. My name's Theodore. I'm Hope's dad. Lily looked at him with enormous eyes, frightened but also hopeful. Hope said you're good, that you saved her. She's the one who saved me. And now you're going to live with us for a while. What do you think? Lily looked at Hope, who nodded enthusiastically. It's going to be great, Lily. I have a huge room. Beatrice makes the best cookies in the world, and Dad lets us watch movies late on weekends. Lily smiled for the first time. Can I have a teddy bear too? Hope always talked about the teddy bear she wanted to have. Theodore laughed, tears streaming down without shame. You can have as many teddy bears as you want. A year later, on the following Christmas Eve, the Callahan family gathered around the decorated tree in the Upper East Side penthouse. Theodore, Hope, Lily, who was now also officially Lily Callahan, and Beatrice, who had become a grandmother to the girls. Dad, can I put the star on top? Hope asked. This year, it's Lily's turn. Lily's eyes widened. My turn? Really? Really? Hope did it last year. Now it's you. Theodore lifted Lily onto his shoulders. She stretched out her little arms and placed the golden star on top of the tree. When the lights came on, the whole room glowed. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Lily whispered. No, Theodore said, looking at his two daughters. The most beautiful thing is right here. Hope held her father's hand. Dad, remember what I said when we first met? I remember every word. I said that if they sent me back, I would die. But I was wrong. Wrong how? Hope smiled, her eyes shining with the tree lights. I wasn't going to die. I was already dead. Dead inside. You're the one who brought me back to life. You taught me what family is, what love is, what it means to have real hope. Theodore hugged her, then pulled Lily into the embrace too. You two are the greatest gift I could ever receive. I don't deserve this much happiness. Yes, you do, Lily said. You saved us. No, my daughters. You saved me. Beatrice appeared with a tray of hot chocolate. Enough crying. It's Christmas. Let's celebrate. They laughed, toasted, sang Christmas carols off-key, ate until they couldn't eat anymore, and when midnight arrived, Theodore looked out the window at snow-covered Manhattan and said a silent prayer. Thank yous, Catherine. Thank you for making me promise not to close my heart. You were right. Love always finds a way. Beside him, Hope and Lily slept in each other's arms on the couch, their little faces serene, finally at peace. And Theodore Callahan, the man who had everything but had nothing, finally understood the most important truth in life. Wealth isn't measured in money, it's measured in love. And he was the richest man in the world. So, you made it to the end of this emotional story. Tell me in the comments which part touched your heart the most. If this story moved you, leave a big thumbs up so I know you liked it. That like is so important for our channel to keep bringing stories like this to you. And if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new stories. Every week, there's emotional content waiting for you here. Oh, and tell me, what city or country are you watching from? I love knowing where each of you comes from. It's always such a joy to know these stories reach so many different places. If you want to keep feeling the emotions, right over here, there are more incredible stories waiting for you. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. You are the reason this channel exists. I love each and every one of you. Until the next story. And remember, love always finds a way. A huge kiss to your heart.